I am welcome. And yeah, welcome to everybody. So this is I'd like to introduce my guest today is Faye Wills, holistic and spiritual life coach. So I'm really looking forward to that. Thank you, Faye, for coming in. I really
Oh,
appreciate
thanks for having me. No, thank you.
it.
It's lovely
So
to be here.
we got there in the end, didn't we? Yeah. So we are going to be diving into topics. So personal journey, empath knowledge. So healing, neutral. Is it natural pathways? Role natural.
Naturopathy, yep.
Thank you. And empowerment. So yeah, we're going to do it. We're going to be doing that. So I've got my notes on the side. So I have warned Faye, behind the scenes, but just to be, so I'm not like people thinking, "Oh, you ignorant bugger."
No,
I need
it's
my
all
notes to
good.
keep me going. Yeah, the housekeeping. So how are you, Faye?
No, so good. I'm good. It's 9 p.m. here in Australia, and we're in winter. You're in your summer, so we've
Like
managed to make it work, which is good.
Fantastic. Okay.
Yeah.
So also I want to sort of like say to everybody as well that Faye's got all her information in the description box where you can follow her. So please, check it out if you wish to. You can also ask questions. So if you come on the live, you can ask questions with Faye, so put it up and I'll star it and we will stop halfway through and then to see if there's any questions that needs to be answered. But with that being said, so here we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna look into your journey and your gifts and stuff. Yeah. So, Faye, how did it you first realize your empathic traits, and what were the signs for you?
Well, there's ones that I wasn't aware of because I was so young, but obviously relayed to me from my parents about me having conversations with people, lights on, lights off, toys turned everywhere, having like imaginary friends, so to speak. And then I think I was always a little bit like a little bit kind of just whimsical and gypsy-like as a kid. I love the forests. I love all of that sort of thing. So I think it's just always been there. The actual was when I left my job as a naturopath, which is natural medicine, to have my daughter. So I was on maternity leave. And the know-how of what things were like what was going to happen, or just feeling people's energy ramped right up when I was pregnant. And then so then I was at home.
There was more than just being an empath then. There was more. So you were having other abilities that was coming forward at that time when you were growing up. Is that right in what I'm hearing?
Yeah, definitely, like all of it. And also like just being, a child or a teenager or even an adult, where you are the friend that everybody comes to. You are the person that people want advice from. You're feeling sad because your friend's sad. All of those things that you don't know is not everybody until later on when you get older and you're like, oh, not everybody's the same. Oh,
I can relate to that. Yeah, I can relate to that. I'll always have people telling their life story.
That's it. And feeling really drained from it too sometimes, because you're carrying not just their words, but you're carrying the feeling of everything, and you're a sponge basically. So so I sort of started working from home, doing readings and helping people with their like holistic medicine. And it was probably, I would say, maybe 5 or 6 years ago when I realized that my clients were pretty much predominantly women, and they were empath women who were coming to me because they were tired. They were depleted. They were in burnout because they had been living as an empath for so long, but without the tools and the know-how on how to prevent toxic relationships, how to help with inflammation because you're carrying so much stress and negative emotion that you're feeling from supermarkets and people's conversations and all the rest. So yeah, I studied it hard and realized I too had been living like that. And now that they are my people, that's who I help. So it's good because I remember reading this really great article on empaths. And I remember reading that one empath's energy, when it's positive and when it's healed and it's, being looked after, can expand and help ecosystems and countries far, far away, because that's the energy of an empath. That's why we're here, to do really great things. And I was like, imagine if I helped 100 empath women. Imagine if I helped 1,000 empath women. Like, imagine if we were all doing really well, right? Like, imagine the impact, like, worldwide. So that's kind of where the motivation came from, to work with women way more deeply than I had been. And
well, we're going to
really
get
kind
into
of
that. We are going to get into that with the actual aspects of it. So as you were sort of like progressing and learning, so you said you've done the tarot and that. So so how did you home in on start practicing and homing on in those gifts? Was it self study, or was it you were guided, or was it like a mixture of mediator? You went to other people and that.
Yeah, I would definitely say a mixture. I'd always had readings myself, and working with people in like more of a professional aspect, I was definitely feeling people's energies anyway. So once it kind of came to reading tarot, I sort of already had like this weird trust that what I said usually like landed pretty positively. And I just practiced. I just jumped onto a few people's Facebook pages who were doing readings, and I said, hey, can I just do some free readings and see how I go? And got a really, really good response. So I don't know, it's a confidence thing, right? Like,
Agree.
So years of just kind of doing readings, really, and just understanding the typical path and what the guides were giving me. It was always very, I don't want to say similar, but it was always about kind of empowering. You've got an energy. Please don't like let a person, a partner, a friend, or the heaviness of life in general, like, strip away that magic. So yeah, that's where it went. But reading was definitely like just consistency.
That was the catalog.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, that's really good. So what was the moment for you to like take it to the next level of, like you were saying early just now about, like, it was like, what if I help so many people? What if I help? So what took you to that level of, like, not necessarily coming away from cards, but wanting to integrate more of your work, different kind of work into it? Was it like,
to go deeper?
Yeah.
When you have somebody come and have a reading and you give them that guided message, it was always kind of like, I felt really good and that was impactful, but then there was always this other layer to it. Like, what if I could give them a remedy to shift that energy? Or what if I could work with you maybe once every 2 weeks or once every 4 weeks to kind of like keep going? Because I could see things like starting to happen and shift and break open, but then they've just booked one reading, so then you'd have to wait, right? So it was kind of like that want to sort of hold somebody's hand and guide them through a bit of a process, more than just the odd reading every now and then, especially ones that were like, yeah, I'm really tired, or I'm really like over how I'm living. And I would say to them, like, you're an empath, you've got this beautiful energy, but you're just depleted from not knowing the tools and not knowing how to protect yourself or choose wisely the people around you. Yeah.
That's the thing though, isn't it? Like as tarot readers and things, there's there's so much more to the to doing a reading. It's you can
Yeah.
have that's just like a baseline structure, isn't it? But it
Yeah.
is like that's just a part of a tool that opens up, that could lead you into more of your shadow work, journaling,
Yeah.
like finding out about who you are as a people. And I think people we don't get taught that in school, do we? We don't get taught to honor our feelings, to honor who we are. We don't. It's which can make it really difficult for people to sort of get some kind of structure in their lives, because they've got all these things going on, but they don't quite understand their abilities to it, and it
That's
just simply
exactly,
has.
yeah, exactly that. Yeah. They may have like come and had like a reading, just like a general reading, like, I've got a lot going on at the moment. It might be my health, it might be my relationship, or I feel like I've got a spiritual path, but I don't really know. And so we'd be doing this general reading, and then I'd be like, oh my God, like, I would love to do your shadow, your inner child. I would love to get down and do like your spiritual path and what you are here born for. But I would keep coming up against these women who, they were probably born into a family with an empath parent or a narcissistic parent. Either or was usually as detrimental as the other, because the empath wouldn't know how to parent another empath, and a narcissistic person would obviously draw and take from that empath child. So they weren't born with the tools or the know-how, how to put in boundaries, how to use certain spiritual tools or holistic tools to be able to protect themselves and to keep themselves like in a healed state, so that they could go on and do the work that we were born to do, which I am very passionate about. I think we need more spiritual women, but I think we need to be empowered and strengthened, not tired and worn down, right?
Yeah.
So that was kind of where it sort of went. Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. I lost a train of thought. That's another thing. Sorry. No, it is interesting, in that. So you've done, that was your haha moment, but did you do any
Mhm.
training to sort of help you get the grasp of that? What was the training that you did?
There's some pretty good books now on empath stuff. Back when I was first kind of digging into it, there was only really one lady who was really talking about it. That's Judith Orloff. She's got some courses. I did a couple of those. The Heart Math Institute is also a really amazing resource. They do a lot of like heart healing and knowledge on people's energy centers and things like that. But yeah, like, I guess just really sort of reading a lot. And if I'm really honest, my clients were probably my best teachers, because
Yeah,
and my
right.
own journey as well, right? Like, because I was like, everyone is coming in with very similar, very, like, whether it was a relationship or work, it was always coming back to the same thing. I want to
Yeah.
wave too.
Yeah. Like,
um,
woo! I hope it's
and
not
my own journey, like,
we got quite a few that's come in, so
oh,
it's
that's
like,
good. That's
yeah,
good. I'm going to click on chat and say, oh, does it happen? No.
yeah. There's
Um,
we've got JoJo, we've got Patsy, we got Ava Fear. I haven't seen him for ages, so he's
oh,
it was nice
lovely.
to see. So yeah, we got quite a few that's popped in and
Good.
watching, and there's one in the background watching too. So it's So welcome, everybody. Welcome.
Hello.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
no. So what was he saying? Back to the
Yeah, so it's, clients being like the best kind of teachers, because I think you can read all about it, but when it's real life, and that's the stuff that I teach and that I coach them through. So it's kind of like not just what it means to be an empath and what you need, it's how does that show up in everyday life? Like, because you got to work with people, you've got to raise children, you need to have a relationship, you've got parents, you have to learn, like with those closer knit people, how to protect yourself and how to assert your boundaries, and also how to keep, like, to protect that essence that people want so much. And
the
it's so
boundaries is
easy.
hard, isn't it? It's hard.
So bloody hard. Yeah.
I mean, it's not easy one to sort of
No.
like, you know, integrate there, isn't it? It can be, you know, and it's not one of those that you've got those skills and those tools and say, oh, I've got that now. It's because life throws stuff at you that
Yeah.
you not expect. So
Yeah.
it's like it's going back to those tools sometimes and thinking, oh, just like a reminder, and it's like that little reminder of like what we need to do. So
one of those really basic things I think that I teach from the very beginning is learning to pause, to come back to say yes or no to somebody, because we've been saying yes since we were about 5, and it's literally just coming out quickly because we want to help. We don't want to disappoint. We don't want to upset people. And we're saying yes and we're exhausted, or we're saying yes and there's something in our intuition that's saying, no, that's not actually something I want to do, but we're saying yes anyway. And then we're coming out of alignment and we're feeling, you know, absolutely wiped out for days afterwards. So I teach people.
It's the need to answer too.
Quickly,
yeah, and it's like, you know, slow down, pause, and it's the
take a breath and just say, let me go home, let me check. Or just, I've got a few crazy things coming up. Let me just go and check in with the diary or the calendar or whatever, and I'll get back to you, just so you can give yourself that moment to really think about it and see how it sits, rather than just going, yep, and then getting home and going, oh no, I shouldn't have said yes.
I remember booked himself again.
100%. Yeah. Just a basic, but
that's really good. I think we did do this, but I'm gonna add, how did the personal experience directly influence how you're coaching other empaths? So was there personal things that was going on in, you know, like in your life that you were learning at the time, and it started to work for you, that you kind of like, I think this would help others. Is that
for sure? Yeah, I think our own personal experience is definitely like our biggest reason. I always say, like, we're our first client, we're our first person that we coached. Being an empath since I was born, and living with and learning different personalities and burnout and exhaustion has been huge for me. And I think one of the biggest things that changed the way that I coach is, very simply, I can listen to everybody else, or I can listen to my spirit team. And I do everybody's coaching when I do one-to-one stuff, I do it directly through their own spirit guides, because there ain't nobody else that knows what you need more than they do. So I did it for myself, and I was like, why would I ever, and I'm not sort of discrediting like any other kinds of therapy or anything, but I was like, why would I go and trust like another person over them first? Like, I've got to listen to them first, and then if I need to go somewhere, they'll let me know. And they were like, go and see a kinesiologist, or go and get your herbal tincture made up. You know, that works really well for you. Or have you been saying yes too much? Okay, you need to go and look at your diet. Like, so whenever I'm doing my one-to-one, I just say, I'm going to just tap into your spirit team, and this is going to be a psychically, divinely guided counseling session where we know where we've got to go. What do we need to pull up? What do we need to release, uncover, heal? Where do they want us to go? So I mean, like, there's nothing better. It's always perfect. Like, no matter what, I never know sometimes what week to week what I'm going to be doing. And then I'm like, oh, okay, we're going into your inner child this week. Righto. Okay. And then off we go. And it seems, and they'll be like, it's really weird. Like, I had my kid, like my photos of me when I was a child out last week. And I was like, right, it's timely. Like, so yeah, the power of our spirit team is amazing.
So do you teach people to align that for themselves, to sort of communicate to their spirit guides?
So the way that I do things is I've got a couple of tiers. So I do one-to-one counseling, which sort of gets them through with guidance, with me, with their spirit team, and it's more of like a very personalized. And then I've basically created the empath recovery program, which is in its sort of final stages of being put together, because ultimately there are some people that don't need or want such personalized stuff, but they do want the main kind of guts of learning how to protect themselves, how to empower themselves, and know themselves well as an empath. So the empath recovery program really kind of just takes them through the 3 stages of learning who they are, what that looks like, how that shows up, what tools they can utilize. We get into like how to kind of know which tool is best for what and when you may need it. And then empowerment, strengthen, and what does that mean? What does your life look like when you are alive and full of vitality and ready to kind of go and do the great things that you were here to do? Are you meant to be healing? Are you meant to be nurturing? Like, are you an artist? Like, empaths can do so many things when they're aligned. So the excitement is so great when you see somebody go from like, I'm stuck in a narcissistic relationship, I'm tired, I'm ill, I don't know what to do, I don't trust my intuition, to fast forward, like, I'm like completely and utterly surrounded by tools I can use. I can use those as anchors whenever life gets a bit tough, and I know what I want to do, and I know how to treat people and how to not allow certain things in. It's just such a good contrast. Yeah.
That sounds really fabulous. It does sound
exciting. Yeah.
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 So how do you define an empath beyond misconceptions? So what well, I'll start with that one first.
So how do I define an empath?
By misconception? So like how other, sometimes there's it can be, is that balance
Overused.
to actually,
Well, I always say everybody is born with the ability to have empathy, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we all know how to feel sorry for somebody or feel sad for somebody. An empath feels it in their bones. It's a cellular thing. So and we've got highly sensitive people as well, don't forget. So there's kind of layers, and I'll usually work with empaths and then highly sensitive people who are maybe not quite as feeling as an empath, but they still are to a degree. So some people say, oh, like, do you think I'm an empath? Or and I'll say, well, I've got to pose it to you. Like, if you watch the news, how long does it take you to kind of shake that off? Or if you're in a supermarket and you hear a little baby crying because it's lost its mum, like, are you still thinking about that later on? Like, is it still being felt? do you feel physical pain when somebody's talking to you about their illness? Do you all of a sudden start to feel it too? There's sort of just a few little questions that you can just start asking someone, because it's definitely, we all can feel empathetic to somebody's situation, but an empath will physically take it in like a sponge, and it's almost like you're a double up, you're a mirror for a minute.
So it's like, I don't know if you've experienced, or you're bound to experience this when you're doing readings and that. Sometimes you get like oh, I can feel things in my chest.
Yeah.
I can feel things in, so, and you say that to the client and stuff, and you go, and they go, yeah, I can take that. And although I don't class myself as a medium, but those aspects come through sometimes. So that would be classed like as an empathic, you're touching on the energy of that person or the people that that you may be talking about through the readings and stuff.
Yeah, definitely. Like if you're a reader or you're into spirituality and or healing of any kind, and you know that you need to put in some kind of, whether it be like a pre-ritual or a post-ritual of cleansing yourself off or just trying to get rid of it, because we know that we carry it. We know that it will be with us if we don't. I'm really good at not remembering everybody's reading, like the finer details, but later on, hours later, I'll be like, I've had this really bad headache, or I've had this tummy ache, or I felt really sad, and I don't know what it is. And then later I'm like, of course it was that reading, or it was when I was talking to that lady at the shop, whatever it might have been. We don't have to be doing a reading to tune into somebody's feelings, of course. So yeah, it's kind of, it's that knowledge that you're not just a person who feels, you feel it, think it, become it, and kind of it envelops you a bit.
It's interesting because, like, I've walked into places and I think, oh, this feels really good. I feel this real good vibe in here. And I got a really good feel to it. And other times I get the ick, the toffee feeling, the sticky toffee, where it's like, is that, oh, we need to, and I've, me and my daughters have gone out, like, gone out for a drink and stuff. And we've had to leave certain pubs because of the ick. I can't explain it. There's no,
you can't explain it. No,
but it's just the ick. And then, but other places we go, oh, this feels more common. This feels
cozy. I feel good here. Yeah, and I mean, it's a combination of your intuition and those empath feelers of the energy in the room. Because I know I can be in a room and it feels great, and somebody has come in and all of a sudden the energy's changed, and I know that energy lays with that person. I maybe don't know them, or I do and I'm aware, but either way, you're kind of like, the energy is shifted. Even if I hadn't seen, even if I'd been blindfolded, I would have felt that shift in the room. When I was studying for natural medicine, we had to go to the pathology lab to start looking at, like, bits in jars and what have you, which was great because we'd been studying parts of the body and that was fine. But we had to walk through the morgue to get there. And I didn't get to the path lab. I had to go. And my friends were like, are you okay? And I was like, my chest is heavy. I want to cry. I feel sick. It was literally just from walking through that room where so much sadness had been. It was too much. And had I have known, and had I have been maybe a bit older, I would have obviously protected myself. But there was no way I had any idea. So
which is fantastic now, because we've got so much information. Sometimes it can be overwhelming, I think, for people as well, can't it? But we've got a great amount of information out there. But that's where the confusion could lie with the in between of, like, the healthy information to it go in to the next phase. So.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I agree.
That being said, what's the one misconception you wish everyone understood, and why?
That we're too sensitive. I think is probably the best way to sum it up. I remember being a child and people saying, "Oh, you're a bit too sensitive," and I
get
think,
talked about
no,
all the
I completely. I always felt, and I try to word this so that it doesn't sound wrong, but there's a feeling like, and I'm sure you would have known it being younger with your gift, but that you knew more than the people who were telling you that.
Sorry about that. My alarm went off then. Sorry.
It's all right, darling.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
it was
no,
like,
absolutely.
yeah, I remember people going, "You're very sensitive," and I think you have no idea what I know. Like my brain is a sponge. Like it wants, and I
It works.
feel your energy.
It works overtime. My brain works like on an
Yeah.
overtime. I can frazzle my brain, let alone anybody else's brain at times.
The
But I
tabs
am
that are open.
exactly, so
Yeah.
it is like
But I
yeah, it can
actually
be.
think empaths are one of the strongest people that I know. Like there's such resilience and there's a real kind of strength to an empath, and it takes years and years and years and years for them to become tired and depleted. They take on so much, and they've usually had a history with, something quite traumatic or something quite life-changing. And I always think when they call empaths too sensitive, my reaction is, we're the strongest people, but we feel a lot. Yeah, but it doesn't mean that we're weak or that we cry all the time or anything like that. We're
And that
just,
goes
yeah,
back down to I was saying, that we don't get taught to know our
right.
emotions and our feelings and stuff.
Mm-hmm,
We're kind of
mm-hmm.
like, I was at because I'm in my 50s, we were coming out of the phase children should be heard, not seen, the seen, not heard type of phase.
Right.
It was starting to deplete a little bit. It was getting
Little
better.
bit. Yeah.
Yeah, but there was still that element there that, that because people still didn't have a handle on this. I mean, going back in the 90s, there was there was the odd churches and that, but it wasn't so
Yeah.
as it is nowadays, is it? There's a lot more out there nowadays to what that
Yeah,
is.
I think
But
even like 10 years ago, like
yeah,
before my daughter was born, it was so vastly different. And I grew up in the 80s and the 90s, and it was kind of like that era of you listen to your parents are like the it, and what we say goes. And if you kind of had a feeling outside of that, then it was a bit like, oh, we don't know what to do with this. So, yeah,
don't cheat
I
your
try. I
elders.
think, yeah, I definitely spend a lot of time both in the counseling and in the program talking about parenting as an empath and parenting an empath child, because that's where we're going to change the future. When we listen to their intuition, when we try and help them build up their own little toolkit so that they know what to do when they feel overwhelmed or their feelings are feeling too much and they don't feel like they can just let it out. But yeah,
Yeah, I agree. I mean,
parenting is important.
my daughters, I was very overprotective of them. So I would
Mm-hmm.
be the interfering mother-in-law. You know.
Good. That's good.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, but I never. So it means though, I'm now learning, and it's still hard to let go of
Still
those
hard.
still hard, but I am
Mm-hmm.
learning to take a step back, because what I'm doing is stopping them actually growing by intervening too much, and it's so hard sometimes
Yeah.
to sort of take that step back. But I remember my mum saying, how can we change the pattern of, like,
Oh, I love
and
that.
and not understanding this pattern that if we don't understand a pattern, we can't change it, can't we? But first of
So
all,
that's amazing of your mum to say that.
yeah, no, so
Yeah.
so she said, and I said, well, I don't know, Mum. I don't know. I
No,
don't know.
no.
I don't know because we're not. Our mum's not aware of what she's doing. I wasn't aware of what we were doing. So it was
Yeah,
like, and we weren't taught this. So it's interesting now, and I think the changes that's happened between mine and my daughter's relationships is because during lockdown we actually opened a journal thing, like a journal group
perfect.
just with
Yeah,
us,
yeah,
and we all had a chance to voice and say our feelings, and I think that's kind of helped us all to start
that's so
seeing
good.
patterns and forming. Do you know what I mean? So it started with
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, that's so good because you're an empath and you're protecting your kids because you don't want them to feel sad or pain, and that's just like that's part of who you are. That is that is your nature, and that's what empath parents are like. We are like, oh my god, keep them close, keep them safe. We don't want them to feel the big bad world out there, but obviously they have to grow and expand and experience and get their own life knowledge happening. But it's hard because we want them to be happy all the time. Yeah,
and
yeah,
you can't change. You got to be able to see another person's perspective on things. You've got a
that's
limit,
right.
haven't you? You've got to
That's
experience it.
exactly. Yeah,
So that the karma, when they say about karma, is not
yeah,
necessarily a bad thing. It's about you understanding
yeah.
those emotions, those feelings,
That they've
or
come in to live a certain karmic journey and we're
yeah,
part of it, but we can't control it.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
absolutely, yeah.
So lovely.
100%.
Oh.
So, like, we're gonna go. I mean, we've been talking about your work and stuff anyway. So we're
Mm.
gonna look at a holistic approach, the deep dive into the value of it. So you kind of described the work you're doing, but what's your typical day, week? And do
Oh,
you work online? Do is it face
yeah.
to face, or is it a bit of a mix?
No, it's all online. It's all online because it was born when my daughter was born, really, like the readings. So I was just recording readings for people, um,
Oh
and
wow!
sending them to, and I had
Yeah,
a lot of my clients were Canada, UK, obviously here in Australia, but a lot of them were overseas. So finding timelines along with a baby was quite difficult. So yeah, I just got into the habit of online and I love it because like I can talk to so many people and I've got clients in sort of Northern Europe and the States and here in Australia and New Zealand and the UK. And that's kind of part of that initial thing that I had where I wanted to empower empaths. And I don't
yeah,
I want to be able to reach whoever is feeling that they need that. So
yeah.
yeah,
No,
online.
online.
Online. Yeah. And then because I homeschool my daughter, so it works well. So usually I get up in the morning and usually it's my own little kind of empath protocol. It's nothing huge. It's just kind of like my space. And then I do some work with my daughter. And then I usually start somewhere around 10, 11 in the morning, whether it's a reading or a client or recording stuff for the program. And then, yeah, try to get it into like a good chunk of the day so that then the rest of the day I can do my thing and be with my daughter and
That's the
all the other things.
that is the nicest about working from home, and that's why I love YouTube so much.
Oh, I love it.
So I'm in control of it. I feel in control. I can go into it and you know, when I get like those inspirational ideas and stuff like that, I can think. But like actually going online and giving readings and stuff like that, it's just a nice. I love it. I do
Yeah.
love the interaction and that part of it. And it's in,
Yeah.
like you said, it's in the comfort of your own home. You ain't got to
Mm.
worry much about it. So you haven't got the travel or the worry of that as well.
Same for the clients, really. Same for the clients. You don't have to think about like leaving half an hour before. You don't have to, get dressed up if you don't want to. You can have a cup of tea in your house. It's fine. Like, and I think people feel better when they're at home. They receive their healings a lot because they're comfortable. They're not in an unfamiliar environment. So yeah, for me, and I'm sure for many other readers and healers, it works well too, because it's the
And I'm a
way
big fan of
2020 did it.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of recording readings because there's so much information that you got to take on board at that particular time. You you go away and you probably could pick about 5 things probably that's
Yes.
been said. But whereas with a recording, you can sort of like, oh, that said that, so you can go back to it
That's it.
and
I
it
tell
starts.
people all the time, I'm like, listen to it as many times as you like, because you'll hear different bits. And then a lot of my ladies, they like, oh, I took notes so that I can ask you the questions. I'm like, yeah, just you take it away, write your notes down, and then come back to me with your questions, because I'd rather it like go in and you spend some time with it. Yeah. And vice versa. I've had readings where I've loved the recording, because then I've listened to it a couple of months later even, and I've been like, oh, that now is important. Like, it wasn't maybe at the time, but it is now. So yeah, I love that.
I don't know for you, but I found, like, because I've done practice readings on myself and that, and gone back to it. So, just to see what I actually pick up and stuff. And I usually find things start coming into maybe straight away, but sometimes it takes about 3 to 6 months for it to sort of integrate more. So that's why it's always good to sort of like give yourself some time and space, unless you've got a specific question.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Like if somebody's asking something quite like immediate, like they want to know, like, should they be taking that job or something like that. But typically, if there's layers to the reading, like they'll listen to it and they'll take what's relevant then, and then they'll listen to it a couple of months later. I've even had people message like a year or two later and gone, ages ago you did a reading for me and I just re-listened to it and half of this stuff is happening now. Like, and I'm like, amazing. Like, how good's that? So
can I ask, I mean, I had an intriguing experience, and I don't know if you do this in your line of work, is where I had Sita. I don't know if you heard of Sita reading. Sita?
Sita, Sita.
Sita,
Is that what you're saying?
Theta.
Oh,
It's like
Theta,
changing the brainwaves and stuff. So she said, pull a load of cards. So I pulled some cards because she wasn't a card reader, and then we pulled the cards. Then we sort of like, I can't remember now, but they just like, hear me out. Like, I pulled a few cards around emotions and stuff like that. Okay, she said, right, let's do the attunement and stuff.
That's
Right, okay.
amazing.
So we did do that. And then she said, right, okay, clear the deck and all that, redo the reading the same. And the reading changed by. Do you
because our
actually?
brain waves are so often out of, like, that's what we have to rewire to, be in a really good mental space. So to have a reading prior and after, that's so clever.
Yeah, I don't know if you've done that with your clients before now.
I've not done a lot with the the before and after, but I do, maybe on a similar kind of theme. I do want, like, obviously there's a whole toolkit of things that I get empaths to utilize, and there would be probably a really good handful of them that I would do a reading before they started using or doing or, you know, carrying out such a practice. And then afterwards we'd do a reading and they'd say, and I would see such a huge difference in the change in not even just the cards, but the feeling of the reading, the energy of the cards through, maybe they were doing flower remedies with me, maybe they'd been to see a kinesiologist, maybe they'd been, you know, doing crystal therapy or so many different like essential oils, anything that's kind of shifting their energy. You see it when you do the before and after. And with one-to-one clients, I typically would see them every 2 weeks. So say I saw a lady today and then I'd said to her, your adrenals are really tired, you're still showing signs of exhaustion, your guides are really pushing you to go and, you know, take some vitamin B's or start eating like this kind of food or whatever. And then 2 weeks later I'll see them and then I'll do the cards and I'll see that their energy's up or, you know, like something along those lines. So similar, but not, you know, not exact, but on that same line. Yeah.
On that same wavelength. And what I found though, and it's like again, like, you know, when we were saying about the tarot readings and card readings and stuff, oracle, whatever it is that you do, is that it can take 6 months to a year. So it's almost like it starts to tweaking, doesn't it? And you start integrating it without you realizing. So it's almost like you don't wake up thinking, oh, I'm fixed and that's it.
No.
It's a process, isn't it? It is a process.
It's a layer. It's a layering thing. Yeah. And I don't know how you feel. I'm not a fan of the term fortune teller. It's a bit kind of 1980s. And I'm always like, how can I tell your fortune when your fortune is literally in your hands? Like it's your energy to shift. So, and I'll see people who are really down, like really sad, really stuck. Maybe they're really kind of scared of change. And we might do some flower remedies and that, like, they're beautiful. They get people shifting quick. And you can bet your life that somebody's fortune from one energy to the next is very different because their energy shifted. They're out of that funk and into a different kind of more positive energy. So their future looks way different. So yeah, I'm very sort of mindful of that.
It's a find the mindset. Also, like I found, like with doing readings and stuff, I would do a reading and they would think that the relationship's over, but I didn't see the relationship over, say for instance, but it's an unhealthy relationship. So it's almost like that it was in there, like you get the minor cards, like the major arcana is kind of out of your hands type of thing.
Sure.
But the minor cards is kind of like, this is something that you can take place.
We can change.
You've got some kind of control over it. You could, not control of what others do, but control of your, again, boundaries, other things.
You can shift this. Yeah, absolutely. And it's, I think, like at the end of the day, when it goes back to what I was saying earlier, when you're doing a reading with somebody and you give them info, but you want to give them the how, or you want to give them that different layer to it, because we've talked about, say, your relationship and how it's not doing so well, but we need to look at like why that's happening. Like, where are you coming from? Are you being triggered? Are you bringing in toxic energy? What can we shift so that you come up and then maybe your partner meets you, or you just, you know what I mean? Like, you've got to shift things before you can call it a day.
It's not just one aspect, is it? It's like another.
That's right.
Patsy wanted to know, what is flower remedies, and could you explain?
You probably would be most familiar with the example of rescue remedy. So rescue remedy is probably the most worldwide well-known flower remedy. It's actually a combination of 5 different remedies that people take for shock or anxiety. Flower remedies, however, go into many different emotions, and the best way that I can explain them is that you take an emotion, and there's usually two extremes and a neutral space of that energy. So we could take an example of, say, worry, and we could take somebody who worries excessively, and then you can take the other extreme of someone who absolutely gives no damns whatsoever, and then you've got that neutral, beautiful space in the middle where somebody worries when it's required. And so a flower remedy's job is to literally shift either end of that spectrum into the middle. So if you've got somebody who worries a lot, it would bring it into that beautiful neutral ground. If you've got somebody who's had a lot of trauma, it takes them out of that like heightened traumatic experience, or somebody who's completely disconnected and put it into of a more neutral space. So flower remedies I use for quick, subtle and energetic shifts with emotions typically.
That would be like herbal teas, drops, yeah?
I usually sort of say it's a bit like a homeopathic, but not, because it's more like the energy of the flower. So with rescue remedy, you take the drops under the tongue.
Yeah.
I think they even do like the little pastels and everything now where you can just sort of have them on aeroplanes, people who are anxious, people who have just been through shock. So there's 5 remedies in there which help people with anxiety, trauma, shock. It's kind of like the first aid of the flower remedies. But yeah, like you can source flower remedies from different places in the world. The most well-known ones are the UK and the European ones, the bark ones. But Australia has their own, the Australian bushflower range. America has their own. I think that's Desert Alchemy. There's many different ones for many, many, many different emotions, and they're just amazing. Like they're so good. They even come with their own oracle deck. So even if you're thinking, I've got no idea what this person needs, you can literally shuffle the oracle deck and it will pull out and you'll say, oh, it's showing up that like you've got a lot of guilt right now and you're needing to kind of work on that guilt. And they'll be like, oh my God, I'm feeling so you're like, right, okay, so we'll make you up a remedy.
Yeah. So you kind of make it yourself then?
Yeah. So I typically will do it for people who I've had readings with, or clients who maybe the same stuff is happening, or maybe we're like struggling to shift something. Maybe they're like, I can't stop attracting bad relationships and I think it's because of XYZ, and I'll go, okay, and then I'll either intuitively know what remedies to pull, or I will actually use the oracle deck, and typically it will give me the most beautiful remedy and they start taking it, and you'll start noticing shifts pretty well within 24 to 48 hours.
I mean, I know
they work really well.
I took the drops when I went for my driving lesson.
There you go. Yeah.
And I tell you what, it did help. It did help.
Yeah, it does. Oh, good. Well done. All that anxiety. They're really good. But you can use like anything with an energy. So herbals do work that way. Although I always say to people, be more wary of using herbals, because obviously the interactions with different medications and things like that. So that I would only really recommend if you were seeing like a proper herbalist or naturopath. But you could do it with essential oils, like anything that's got an energy will shift your energy. So, and your guides normally let me know what is needed. Yeah. So, yeah.
Thank you, Patsy, for asking.
Thank you. Okay.
So so for overwhelmed empaths, what does healing truly look like in your frame?
For me, it is about being empowered with knowing who you are, what you know, what that means to be an empath. I think there's an empowerment in just, you know, when we've got a diagnosis and we're like, finally, I understand who I am, what, you know, what I'm about and how I can live better. And then the second thing is knowing what tools are going to work the best for you. Are you more of a holistic tool person? Are you more of a spiritual tool person? Are you somebody who needs to go and move your body and actually like action something? We also have to bear in mind that when we are high energy, we're going to go towards certain things. And when we're feeling really low, we're going to go towards certain things. So it's good to have a bit of a toolkit for both situations.
So basically, is like a personal, is a personal kit then, basically, on.
Yeah.
On,
I think everybody kind of has that like affinity towards certain things. Like I've got some people who love like meditation and yoga and all those sorts of things. Then I've got other people who are like, I can't meditate to save my life, but I love witchcraft, or I love my my sort of cards and things like that. So whatever. Some people love crystals, some people love remedies, some people love a combination. So just whatever, but it's learning what works for you. Everybody's different, we know. So it's working out like who you are, what are the things that really exhaust you or really trigger you, and then working out how you can then start to live with these tools and using these tools so that you can go and feel energized and you're not burning out and you're not you know, you're not sort of feeling despair and utter kind of depletion because you're just literally sucking in other people's energies all day every day without anything to guard yourself against. So and then knowing, I think the knowing as well, like afterwards, knowing once you're feeling much better, like knowing what it is that makes you feel happy and doing that as well, because you can't do that when you're depleted. But once you know that you've got a bit of zest, you can go and do some really great things and help people, and you can do it without feeling you know, we start to feel a bit kind of mad about it. I don't want to help people. So going because you want to, not because you feel you have to.
Yeah, so that would be the beyond the coping. So the coping mechanisms is like it's building that structure. Yeah, no, I completely understand. Hopefully everybody else can understand that too.
Yeah, fingers crossed I'm making sense.
Yeah. But it is, it's like in it. I mean, I got fibromyalgia and I got chronic pain. So I get fatigue
empath diseases.
Yeah. So I've got to have a structure. I have to have, and with my brain is not, it don't always work that way. But
no, find me a middle-aged empath female without fibromyalgia. I haven't found one. I haven't found one. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So if you go into the actual like energetics around fibromyalgia and exhaustion and all of those sorts of things, it's all not being able to say no, giving, not being able to protect your own energy field. Autoimmune disorders are rife in empaths. So that was like the physical naturopathic side that I've studied really deeply, because that I was seeing for years and years and years. Because we burn out. It's part of it. Yeah.
Yeah, I got to have time to myself. If I don't,
Yeah. Because you imagine your nervous system is literally wired to feel other people's emotions. That's what we came to this planet to do as empaths. We are literally like little nerve ending balls just kind of wobbling around this planet. And for most people, they have a switch off. For us, we do not. So if we don't retreat and have that time alone to ourselves to reset, you will burn out 150%.
I mean, like you said, is each to everybody else, but you've you find your strategies in it. So that would
That's
be
right.
that would be your framework, wouldn't it? It wouldn't be like
Yeah.
you're coping with just plodding on and just getting on with it. It's finding a framework that works for you
Yeah.
as an individual.
Yeah,
That's
there's definitely like non-negotiables like that I will put into everything. And then there's like this beautiful, just big pile of different tools that I've compiled over the years that I just say, learn about them. And then you just go with your instinct. Whatever you feel you need, you pop it in that toolbox along with your vitals. So your vitals are things like your sleep, your alone time, your boundaries. You have to have them. You can't be a healed empath without them. And then choose them. Then, choose the ones you like, and then you compile your little kind of day-to-day sort of structure around that. And that's when you start to feel the shift and your healing.
Okay, fabulous. We've got another question in the chat. Thank you, Patsy. So how are we to guard our energies to not get sucked by others?
Yeah, so there's different, as I was just sort of explaining, there's definitely like your vital things that you just have to have as part of your day-to-day. So things like my vital things are things such as your boundaries. Learning how to say no without feeling guilty is a big one.
That's a hard one.
So, yeah. But I've got some really lovely ways of saying it without it feeling like you're being mean or like you feel like you're letting someone down. There's ways that you can say it that sits nicer than just saying no.
Could you give us some examples on that? Just like a couple.
Yeah, like for sure. Like I think a big one for us empaths is ones like, you are definitely coming to my birthday thing. There's going to be heaps of people there, right? That's a real sort of big one. You are feeling exhausted. There's people there you don't really want to do small talk with. There's probably a few people that maybe you don't like listening to what they talk about. Like, social events are tricky. And so for me, like a way of saying no without saying, oh, no, I'm not coming, because that just wouldn't land. And my throat chakra goes like this, can't say it. So I just different ways of getting around it would be like, I'm socially so not great right now. I would love, however, to celebrate you and your birthday with you in a way that feels more personal. So could we go out for a coffee, or could we do like a cozy night in or something like that? So just like reframing like I've got like lots of different examples and lots of different ways, and it's kind of just working it into a way that feels good for you and practicing because we're not used to it. We just say yes. And then when we say no, it feels wrong. So we go back to saying yes. So it's just about learning how to speak from the heart and communicate. Yeah. And then protecting your energies. There is like an entire world of things out there, but my number ones are crystals. I think you can't go past having, if I know that I'm going, Christmas shopping's a big one for me. Got to go out into the ick. What did you call it earlier? The sticky toffee.
Sticky toffee, yeah. The ick. Some people say black tar. So they like that black tar.
That's exactly it. So I use all my black crystals and I will literally put them in my bra. I will put like a necklace or jewelry on so that I'm guarded. When I get home, I have a Himalayan salt bar that I will use in the shower to clean off. And then you can do whatever, like you can meditate, you can cleanse your aura, you can I've got a world of different things. There's different sort of protective pouches, like spell type of bags that you can do, herbals, you can use your flower remedies. There's so many different ways, and it's finding what feels right for you, right? It's finding what sits, because I've got my different people who love different things or are very kind of specific in the kind of nature of things that they like to use. So for me, it's pretty basic. It's crystals and a salt shower afterwards, and I feel pretty all right
I
after
like
that.
an Epsom salt bath.
That's the one. Yeah, you can do your binaural beats or your sort of meditative tones, things like that. But yeah, finding what works for you so that you can learn to be in social situations, but also be able to cleanse yourself afterwards.
And put that Barry as that. Okay, thank you. Can you share common energetic emotional wounds and impacts and the general healing approach?
Sorry, what was the first bit? What was the first bit that you said?
Sorry. Where is it?
Sorry.
Now.
Sorry, that wasn't very good, was it? I'll turn it off.
Can you share a comment? No, it's the signal. No, it's fine. This is, look, you guys, you're gonna have to accept the fact that this is just, it's life. It's real. We're gonna
Perth to Bristol.
Can you share a common energetic emotional wounds and empaths? And so like what's a common energetic emotional wound? You were talking about, it was quite common for illnesses and with the nervous system and stuff. What about the energetic of the emotional side of wounds that empaths could carry?
Yeah, so I would say 100% of my empath clients, no matter what, have had a deeply wounded empath parent or a narcissist very prominent in their life that they have carried the wounds from. The sad thing is that they then go on to be a deeply wounded empath themselves, seeking out another narcissistic relationship. So one of the biggest things that I see is toxic relationships and or some kind of addiction or trauma at a very kind of pivotal point, somewhere around their kind of late teens, early 20s, that has changed the course of their life, either for the greater or the not so great. So, I'm hard pressed to think of one of my empaths without that combination of emotional wound. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And I think that it shows up. I think it shows up early from the universe, from spirit, in order for us to learn the signs and the symptoms of toxic relationships. But the curse of the empath is that we want everybody to be okay. We want to fix people. So it might not have worked out with the first toxic relationship, and then all of a sudden we're kind of laying bait for the next. And unless we've learned those lessons in between, we go on and do it again. So a cycle of toxic relationships with a wounded empath and a wounded empath somewhere else in their lineage is very typical.
Oh, so that's a very common
super. Yeah, I'm yet to not find that little combination. Yeah.
So, and the general healing approach is contacting with it.
yeah.
The general approach is like
any kind of spiritual. I think any kind of spiritual empowerment or journey that you can get yourself onto, because the spiritual world is amazing, but it is also incredibly, as you well know, like draining if you're not kind of in the knowledge of. So I think like do your reading on what it means to be an empath, do your reading on what it means to know what to do in certain situations, and make sure that you're listening to your intuition, because if you're not, you can't ever get to that space of healing. When you listen to your intuition and you follow that noise, that voice, that real deep, calling from within, that's your spirit team getting hold of you. That's them saying, like, this is where you need to be. They will give you a ton of what I call, like, universal exams, you will find that you have something come up that is from a long time ago, or it's like a repeated theme. Do the test, get like, so that you're learning, because when you start learning, it starts to heal.
Yeah, and
But
I think my biggest one was because I had the car accident, and that's what started the fibromyalgia. So I had to take, so I was a bit of a party person, like at that time, and that was my coping mechanisms,
right,
and then and then when I had the car accident, I couldn't do the things, and I still can't do the things that I used to do physically. So it was kind of isolating, but from that isolation and from the
gift.
journaling, I started learning about myself, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
still, I'm in my 50s, but I'm still like processing that as I go along, so it's still like, is it in bed, but I'm a lot more head clearer by taking that time for myself and getting to know myself. And I think we get so engrossed in trying to learn about others that actually where we need to sort of learn that part of ourselves too, and to figure out
we're just so taught that it's selfish to focus on ourselves, and empaths particularly like are going to be the exact opposite of a narcissist, in the sense that we're not ego driven at all, we're energy driven. So we are looking to learn about other people because it's genuine, it's from our bones, it's not fake in any way, shape or form. So we are typically outward people, but it's so vital to do the inner stuff so that we can be better outward people. It's a funny little way that it works, but it is how it works. And yours sounds like a very kind of, I don't want to use the word typical because that's not very personalized, but it sounds like such the empath journey of the kind of addictive personality to kind of try and block out so much, and the trauma, which either makes us regress or it gives us that gift where we go, hang on a second, life can be different. And it sounds like it did that just for you. So even though car accidents are awful and traumatic, what a gift in a funny old way.
Absolutely. The worst situation has turned out to be the better, although those days I still get frustrated with it.
100%. Yeah. This is a little niggly reminder. Remember. Yeah.
The natural path of connection. Okay, so we're going to look at natural path. The natural path background is unique. How is an empath's physical well-being linked to their energetic emotional health?
Mm-hmm.
So
I think kind of goes back. Yeah, so it goes back to obviously what we were talking about the nervous system and everything. Being a naturopath for so many years, I would see pretty much 90% of people's physical health would come back to their nervous system in some way, shape or form. So gut problems, inflammation, autoimmune, it all comes back to a disrupted nervous system. So you can imagine a neurotypical type of person or even a narcissistic person, they don't really come in with too much in terms of nervous system stuff. It's really kind of like what they've been eating, or maybe their immune system's a bit low, or like they've broken their arm and they've got a bit of sore or something like that. So when it got to empaths, it was all nervous system all the time.
Wow.
All the time. And I would see empaths with autoimmune disorders, fibromyalgia, polymyalgia, and just the repeating illnesses and the repeating like adrenals, chronic fatigue, things like that, which is all obviously nervous system disorders. So for me, when I was working with the naturopaths and doing the psychic stuff, the spiritual stuff, to me, it made complete sense that I would also add in my naturopathic training and holistic remedies to A, shift those energies, and B, help their nervous system, help their physical health. Because what can you do? I can't empower somebody and they're sore all the time or they're ill all the time. That's not fully empowered, right? So it's a physical, a mental, an emotional, and a spiritual journey for sure. But I try to fuse all of those things together to give them that holistic approach, so that they're not only feeling better and their life is moving better, but that their physical health is better as well. And they're not having panic attacks, or they're not, sitting deep in depression or physical pain from like an autoimmune disorder or something like that. So,
and it's coming to acceptance, isn't it? It's accepting the reality of that illness, which helps you sort of manage things better and manage and have a different approach on things, it helps you have a bit, because you lose all your confidence in that.
And you can imagine, like, sorry to sort of bring age into it, but unfortunately the age is part of the timeline. But ultimately, you're middle-aged female, you're going to have a physical condition from the 40, 50 plus years that you've had of carrying emotions wherever you went. And that's school, that's home, that's work, that's whenever you go to a supermarket, whenever you open a newspaper or the news, you are absorbing. Your nervous system is going to burn out. And it's normally around that time where the exhaustion kicks in. Perimenopause or menopause starts to actually like play a massive role, and you're sat there going, I've just given my entire life to everybody else. I'm exhausted. I don't know what I'm here for. I'm sore. I don't feel well. Is this it? Is this what I came here to do? And there's this huge passion inside me, which is very obviously motivating in what I do, but I don't want women to sit like that. I want them to use that good that they've got to do what they came here to do, because you can't do anything when you're tired, sore and ill, ultimately.
Right. You
can't help anyone, including yourself.
Good. It's like I can't focus, and it is like, my girls and that, they're amazing in that. So, and my son, so they know generally, but it was heart-wrenching for them to see that deterioration. It doesn't just affect you, it affects the people around you too, and your friendships and stuff like that.
That's right. When you're tired and you don't have that big kind of motivation or that energy that you did when you were 20 to get kind of better, it's more like, oh, this is it. Like, and then, your friendships start to kind of not erode, but you're not as functional as you were, and so then you start to not feel like you're getting as much joy or fun or social interaction. So
you can't do the things that you once could do.
The physical stuff is super important. You can't do anything. There's no dancing. No dancing for 3 a.m.
Unless you've got the things. Okay, thank you. So what is the one holistic habit practice you recommend for empath? Gemini super here. Recommend for empath nervous system vitality. So because we're going down that path, aren't we? So it's like
it's more on the nervous system stuff. Is that sort of what we're talking about?
So it's a practical tip. What is the one holistic habit and practice you recommend for empath's nervous system for vitality? For that would be to help it I suppose us to last a little bit longer. Or
I think it's got to be a twofold answer, because I think the first one comes from a serious overhaul of your relationships in all manner of speaking. I think that you have to make sure, and I do relationship edits with clients and in the program, you got to kind of figure it out. You got to really kind of know who's bringing you joy, who's bringing energy, good energy to you, who's draining you. And that doesn't mean you start cutting ties with everybody, but it does mean that you have to reshape the way that these relationships are going to show up. Like, are you going to just have one-on-one time with somebody who drains you? You can't do that. You're going to have to change it to a different kind of way that you interact with them. So relationship edits is a big one, because if it's kind of where I say, like, if you've got a boat that's sinking, you got to plug the holes up. You got to realize where those drains are coming from. So relationship edits is number one. I recommend people do it every like 3 to 6 months. Just kind of, who's in my circle right now? Who's making me feel incredibly exhausted? Who is making me feel great? And just relook at that. And then on the other side, I think that your holistic tools has to come down to really good nervous system herbs that really feed your adrenals, because your adrenals are screaming. So things like your rhodiola, your withania, magnesium, if you want to start getting into your like nervous system minerals. But yeah, like your nervous system herbs that really feed and nourish your adrenal glands, because they are hungry. they've been burnt out for many years, and they need things that fuel them and nourish them so that they can start functioning a bit better.
So you would say boundaries with people and nourishing the body is another sort of
Yeah. Start figuring out who's making you feel good and not so great. Like, are you coming away from certain phone calls or catch-ups and going, oh my gosh, I feel really tired?
Yeah.
And sometimes that's really hard, because sometimes for people that's their family or that's their work friends. So there are definitely techniques that I've had to kind of create and work out and really sort of figure out for people. But I think that it's key, because if you are giving your adrenals all of these herbs, or you are doing every tool under the sun, but your co-worker is literally talking about herself for 6 to 8 hours a day, it's literally just going to come out. So that's why I call it like bunging the holes of the ship.
So it's like a balance of a relationship where the communications both is equal. So it's not like that constant,
Right. Yeah. Subject changes, or not engaging in sort of certain conversations, or learning how to steer a conversation. Also things like making sure that if you are in contact with people, that you've got some really good protective crystals on or around you. And it's learning those techniques on how to change subjects, steer conversations, because it's a bit tricky at first, but once you do learn the techniques, it's not as difficult as sitting there and listening to somebody all day.
I get you. That's amazing. Thank you.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we are coming near to the end, but we're gonna so you've done examples, so I'm not going to even address that, because we have like we've pretty much talked about that. So it's like my little like list is like it just comes naturally. It's amazing, isn't it? How it works. Is there anything, Faye, that you would like to sort of like add to what we've spoke about today, and stuff that we didn't I didn't bring up, in questions or anything like that? Or are you
Probably, but I think it's I think just if you feel that you are an empath, if you feel that you are a struggling empath, then find a community of other empaths. I think that no matter what, if there's anything else, I think find your people, because only empaths know what other empaths are talking about. Like, can you imagine talking about this to just like, Bob down the road? He's going to be like, oh no, I don't understand a word of that.
You're weird. That's what you get. That you're a weirdo. Yeah. You're one of those weirdos, aren't you? Yeah.
And the amount of empaths that they're like, my whole family think I'm weird, like, and they really feel alone. So find your people, like go to, a full moon circle, go to a singing bowl thing. I don't know, like wherever there is groups, or online if you can't get out and about, but find other empaths so that you can assist and help one another. And when you need somebody to speak to and your closest and your nearest and dearest don't get it, you've got people to talk to. So I've got a group on Facebook. It started out more like readers, but I'm really kind of trying to steer it now more into just a space of empaths who just need other empaths, because we know what it feels like to feel tired and drained, sore, exhausted, and all of those sorts of big words. And find your community, find your people. I think it's key.
Yeah, I think communicate. I mean, I know when I'm like, because sometimes we can sort of like really pull ourselves away. We can go into more of a darker route. So it's like recognizing those signs to sort of say, hang on a minute, it's because I'm not connecting. I'm not having a connection with people. I'm pulling my way of, So, I mean, I think one thing I'm learning now, I would say this year is actually saying that I can't do that right now, so and it's been a hard one to sort of say, look, well, I'm sorry, I can't do that right now. But I think it is so important to sort of like, even if people don't understand, at least they understand, you're communicating with them and giving them that communication. So communication is key as well, isn't it? And I think you would find out, wouldn't you, who's gonna zap your energy and who's actually understanding and being understanding and saying, that's cool. Is there anything you need? Do you want any? Just let us know. So there's going to be a difference in the energy, how you approach it.
The thing about sort of learning how to say no, or learning how to say, I can't, or whatever, is it's an absolute thing that you have to learn. It's key. But I do always let everyone know, like, you have to remember, for a lot of people, especially like parents, family members, like siblings, aunties, uncles, they've known you as a yes person your entire life. You're about to change up your character, and some people are not going to like it. So you have to learn a way that sounds heartfelt from your end, that you feel good with, but also be prepared, because some people, especially narcissistic and energy vampire type of people, are not going to like the fact they can't get from you as easily. So it is a bit of a change up. It does come with its challenges, but on the other side of that is your health, is your vitality, and the good that you hold inside you, which can be used for better things. Because you have to be done with making other people comfortable while you're uncomfortable. That's not okay. So it does come with a bit of trickery, but please persist and get really good at it.
That's amazing. So thank you, Faye. We have got like, I don't know if you wanted to do these little card pulls.
Yeah,
we can do two. I know I'm taking a lot of your time up at the moment. So we've got different colors. So we've got yellow, green, like a dark gray, a light blue, a light gray, or we got red.
So let's go. Green's my favorite color, and then let's go with that dark gray, because I liked that dark gray.
Dark gray. I'm going to shuffle, because why wouldn't I?
So
we're going to answer. Yeah. So, and if you're watching, answer in the comments. We're not going to be left out here. So here we go. We had a flyer. What would you rather be, the funniest or the smartest person in the room?
Ooh. Oh, funny.
Yeah. I'm with
think
you on that one.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, it's smart. No, I'm not bothered. But funny, I do like a laugh, and I like
I
to
do
make
like
people
a good sense of
laugh.
humour and banter.
Yeah,
If you haven't
yeah,
noticed, I do like a bit of that.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm with
Banter.
you on
is
that.
good. Yeah.
Okay, so that's so the next one. Okay, so
Yep.
I got yellow, red, green, blue, or light grey.
Yellow this time.
Yellow. This is
Yeah.
yellow. This is random. This is what we got random. I don't know what we're gonna get, Faye. I don't know what we're gonna get. I don't know what we're gonna get,
I
guys.
like a surprise.
So here we go. Right. Okay. So, right. If you have to relive the same day for the rest of your life, which day would you choose? I'll let
Probably like first day with my daughter when she was first born.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Yeah.
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 Oh,
Like
that
that.
is really
There
nice.
was no one else in the room, and it was just me and her. Yeah, I think that day. Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna go for like, because although I got my kids of my own, but it'd be that when I went on skates, on the roller skates. Can you remember like in the 90s,
Yeah.
80s, the roller skates? And
Yeah.
me and my friends, we used to have swap over. So we'll have the skates and then the bike and going down that hill. That sense of freedom, that freedom
The
would be
feeling of the air
awesome.
getting in your face.
Yeah, that air and no fear. Either you had no fear, did you? No
Nothing to
fear.
break. nothing to stiffen up or break. You'd be
That's
fine.
right. So I'm gonna say that one. That is wonderful. Thank you so much, mate. Please stay
Thank
back
you.
on there. Thank you everyone for interaction. Thank you, Patsy, for your questions. It's been amazing. And
Amazing.
like I said, all information, if you can find Faye and her Facebook group, is all in the description box. I will let you go. We are not going to be doing. I'm not going to be doing a podcast now till September. Now I'm taking a break. I ain't taking a break from YouTube. I'm just taking a break from the podcast because I got other things I want to be doing. So we're gonna start back up in September. So hopefully you enjoyed it. I will see you soon. Take care, guys. Thank you for joining. And thank you, Faye. I've really enjoyed it.
Thanks for having me. Thank you.
Stay put. Stay put. Bye-bye for now. See you on the other side, guys.